Greetings and welcome to Jefficho Films. With Henry Cavill's Witcher series coming out, I thought it might be a nice treat to do the Polish film from 2001. So let's review The Witcher, also known as the Hexer. This movie starts out with a man on a horse riding up to a house and asking for another man's son, and then they torture that kid to make him stronger, and they train him, and that kid watches this group of people led by Falwick kill a bunch of peasants, and he tells them makes an enemy for life. But then he tells his old seer buddy he wants to become a witcher. Several years later, we get the lovely Pavetta who's riding with her mother, and she's thrown from her horse and something comes out of the ground and attacks them. But then the witcher shows up and kills it. He's Geralt of Rivia. Back at the castle, the queen asks about the Witcher to her priest, and then her daughter walks in and asks to postpone the wedding. She wants to marry somebody she loves and listen to her heart. The queen says she can't afford that luxury. They have to have a male heir in place because women can't rule. How outdated. I tell ya, the new version's gonna be so PC on that. Then the queen talks to the Witcher and asks if he heard of the Nilfgaard, small kingdom to the south, bad guys, conquering everything. They believe in Superman, and she thinks they're coming. She asks him to guard her daughter and stay to the wedding. Pavetta's in her locked room, and she unlocks it with magic, and then knocks out the guard and the Witcher with her magical spell. But the next scene, the Witcher's still talking to the queen, so terrible transitions, guys. The queen's telling Geralt of Pavetta's suitors and how she must marry the king's nephew, but that there's somebody else trying to lay claim to her, the hedgehog. So she wants him to go investigate and take care of any threats of other suitors. Pavetta talks to Geralt as he heads out on his mission, and then he's in a bar, all of a sudden surrounded by people, and he meets Hedgehog. So Hedgehog has been cursed and wears the human face for a while longer, but if not married and consummated, he'll have the face of a hedgehog. The hedgehog tells him that he saved the king's life on a hunt and was promised a daughter, so his claim to marry her is legit. When the Witcher rides home, the queen tells him that she heard a similar story on her husband's deathbed. The Witcher says Pavetta and Hedgehog have been banging for a while, that she's no virgin, and then she yells at him, and Pavetta confirms that this is true too. They have a party and a feast, but they say that the wedding's been postponed because they haven't figured out who the groom's gonna be, and then Hedgehog arrives and she tells everybody about his claim to the throne, and she wants to examine that claim, and she forces him to remove his helmet, and he looks like a hedgehog underneath. The other princes attack Hedgehog and he gets stabbed, but the Witcher interferes and tries to help him out, till Pavetta screams like a man and knocks everybody down and turns up the lights. The Witcher and the priest fire a light at her to knock her out, and then the queen grants the marriage to happen, and then his face is normal because the enchantment's been lifted because she's been given permission to marry Pavetta. They want to reward the Witcher, but he's really done very little, so he asks for what they do not have. When he returns, he'll claim something that is new. That always means a child, and Pavetta, when he leaves, admits that she's pregnant. The Witcher kills some creature, meets some new friends who help scare off some peasant thieves. Now at a bar, the Witcher explains that he kills bad monsters, not harmless ones, that he'll protect men but not their interests. The girls are quite interested in him, and the dude says that they're tireless lovers. He also said that they were his daughters earlier. I don't want to know. Next, the Witcher and the dude are passed out in the bath together, and the daughters show up naked and jump in and wrestle them. Thankfully unrelated to the last scene, they ride together, and they run into Jaskier, one of Gerard's poet friends, and he tells him about a dragon. And the dude wants to go capture the dragon's loot, and he'll go alone if he has to. A raven-haired girl rides by, Yennefer, and the Witcher knows her. We get a flashback of her nursing him back to health. She's the sorcerer, and they've had sex. She rides with the royal guards, and they camp not too far off, so he goes and talks to her. She says that they were not meant to be together, that she doesn't know when he's leaving in the middle of the night or when he'll come back, that he has no aim. The dude the Witcher's been bathing with lately drops a coin which causes an avalanche, which lands on the camp and knocks Yennefer over this cliff, and the Witcher jumps down to save her. She says that she's incapable of love, and then Jaskier helps them out because nobody else would, because they're afraid of powered people. One of the men yell, "Huge dragon!" and then we see it, but it's not even the one they're after. That one flies above them, lands, and then talks to them and says they should leave. But one man decides he's gonna challenge it. He doesn't fare well. Yennefer wants Gerard to kill it and then says it will be like it was between them before, which he points out what she had already said to him. So he convinces the king that they're better off just leaving, and so they do. Yennefer still wants to kill it, but her greed is going to be her downfall. Later, the men are attacking this creature, and Yennefer tries to protect it, so they attack her, and the Witcher steps in and kills a few of them. And then Bach, his bath buddy, appears, and he was the dragon. Him and the 3 girls. They were all the dragon. Yennefer's motivation seems to be going back and forth a lot here too. Now suddenly riding on his own, because why waste time with transitions, he heads to see Pavetta's child. And when he gets there, one of the priests tells him to be careful, because Hedgehog and Pavetta died at sea, and the child is the only heir. The queen pleads with him not to take it, but he needs it, because the child can become a witcher because of Pavetta's powers. He says he's leaving for far off lands, and then the place time-lapse burns down. Scarface Falwick is being sent to look for the granddaughter, and he mentions stuff about elves, dwarves, but they need the heir for people that can't have children. Falwick's been scheming with this man, and he wants a monster but with a human face to run around and take care of some problems he's got to deal with. The Witcher's now in a marsh fighting this tentacle creature, which gets him good. He manages to defeat it, get on his horse, and then falls off in front of a monastery. They take care of him, and this little white-haired girl, who I'm guessing Ciri from the little bit of cutscenes I've seen from the video game, is there. The seer at the monastery, who's seen the place burn down from her visions, knows that Ciri and the Witcher are bound, and she wants him to leave so he can protect her from the Emperor. The head mother at the monastery tells him that he can't take Ciri with him, so he leaves to deliver a message, but he runs into Falwick's men, and one of them challenges him. But it's just a boy, so the Witcher challenges Falwick, but he's a coward and won't do it. He deals with the boy pretty easily and blindfolded. Falwick gets to the monastery and asks for Ciri, but they refuse. But Ciri comes out and says she'll go with them, and then they pretty much all die. Next, the Witcher's in a cave hunting a monster, kills it, brings it into town, and runs into his poet friend. The headman tells him he can't pay for it, but offers him hospitality and news. Then he goes visit the magic man in the tower, who tells him about Renfri and how she's evil and she's just slaughtering people working for Falwick. Back at the bar, 6 men try to rape this waitress, and then she runs to the Witcher, who protects her. Renfri shows up and dismisses the men. She tells the Witcher that she's come for the Magnus, the magic man in the tower, and she's working for the prince. She tells him to leave, but he doesn't, and then he goes to check on the Magnus, and he runs into a bunch of men, and he has to go through them. One of them even says that he's a swords master. I'm pretty sure the Witcher mocks him after. The next day in the middle of the village, he's surrounded and turns invisible, and then it's a little bit of parkour before he kills them all. It's a decent fight scene with a unique style. Renfri shows up and fights him. She does okay before he slices her good. The Magnus goes back on his deal and says Ciri's alive, but that he won't help him and hides behind his door. Then we get a camp night with Jaskier, his musical friend, and a couple days of travel. Falwick sends word that the Witcher's the one that burnt down the monastery with the help of elves, and then we end up in a bathhouse. Jaskier's getting some information inside the bar, which is drawing some unwanted attention, while the Witcher's chosen a more intimate setting for it. And he puts a towel over this dude's head and chops it off. It's pretty sweet. The Witcher uses his information to find this small town, and he just goes there and starts killing. He frees a bunch of children, but he doesn't find Ciri there. Back at the bathhouse, the Emperor's men are there now, and they're torturing Jaskier. The Witcher shows up and tries to help him out, but he pretty much surrenders himself to get knocked out. Falwick's given the last to the Witcher, and then he points out that Falwick's been lying to the Emperor, so they have a fight to see who's telling the truth. Falwick obviously waits for him to turn his back, but he doesn't fare well. The Emperor's men order both Jaskier and the Witcher to be impaled in the morning, and they tie them up, but they break free because of fire. They find a secret passage that leads out into the woods, and then the Witcher heads off in search for Ciri. He runs into some dude and helps him out, and gets the dude to promise him whatever he finds at home, he can have. And then they battle bird monsters. The Witcher's pretty hurt after the battle, and he's pretty hurt after most battles, let's be honest here. The dude helps him out and takes him back to his village, where he sees that his wife had adopted a young girl. It's Ciri. And then the Witcher and Ciri ride off together. The end. Honestly, I don't even know what to say. I mean, this movie's all over the place with zero transitions. The characters' motivations go back and forth. Like, Yennefer wants to kill the dragon, then she doesn't want to kill the dragon, but the dragon's actually 3 people that sleep with each other and claim to be related. What the hell? I've never played the video game, but I've seen a bunch of the cutscenes, which are pretty cool, but I just never got into the game. I tried. I haven't seen a lot of Polish films. It had a $4.6 million budget, which I think it spread out pretty nicely. Some of the acting's okay. It's followed by a 13-episode series all about this too, so I mean, you're getting TV actors and that. In the end, I guess if you played the game, there's a little bit of added value for you in this, but the movie came out in 2001, so it's definitely just based on the novels, where I think the Henry Cavill series will be influenced a lot by what happened in the game. It'll probably take a lot of the good parts out of there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Other than that, it kind of felt like an 80s sword movie with the budget that they had. I think they tried to tell too much of a story and just show too many like him slaying monsters and what he does throughout his daily life, and then some of his connections. It definitely did that. It definitely set up the series properly. But, you know, I'd be interested maybe to watch the series maybe after I see the Henry Cavill one. You know, I want something really good to see first. Well, as always, thanks for watching.